A random woman accidentally brushed her hand against a guy's arm. Instantly, she started panicking, begging for forgiveness and pleading with him to not call the cops. The surrounding bystanders chimed right in, yelling and calling her a total creep. You and I are about to see a completely insane world. Here, women drastically outnumber the men, any woman touching a guy without his clear permission was legally guilty of severe harassment and faced a mandatory 2.5-year prison sentence if any woman dared to force a kiss. That meant a 100-year sentence. The law also demanded every adult male find exactly 365 girlfriends, and to actually become a wife, the woman not only had to pay a massive bride price in the millions, but she also had to handle absolutely all household chores after the wedding. Why? Because the male birth rate here was barely 1 in 1,000 compared to the female rate, even with absolute full polygamy legally enforced across society. The total number of single women unable to find a husband still hit a staggering 6 billion. Right at this very moment, our main guy, a fresh transmigrator, sat staring blankly at the wild news broadcast. It took a minute for his brain to fully boot up and accept reality. Originally, he was just an average 21st century otaku nearing 30 years old who had never even had a girlfriend. Who would have guessed that last night, while watching a video about some overpowered web novel hero, he would fall asleep after spamming 3 Doge memes right the comment section. He woke up fully transmigrated. Then a sweet female voice suddenly rang out, snapping him out of his daze. Brother, the first batch of Mystic World helmets is about to be distributed. Aren't you going to get yours? His eyes landed on the tall, gorgeous young woman standing right in the doorway. It was Li Wanqing, his parents' adopted daughter. He quickly replied that he was just getting ready to head out, according to the somewhat vague explanations provided by the government. This sudden catastrophic drop in the male birth rate was caused by a mysterious purple fog currently enveloping the entire planet. This fog was violently altering human genetics. Now, Mystic World was supposedly the only absolute way to save the male population from total extinction. Inside this virtual game world, there existed something capable of triggering an insane qualitative physical evolution, allowing men to fight off the purple fog's deadly genetic erosion. Now, you and I know, since he was already trapped in this wild world, there was no way he'd miss out. He was ready to live large. When the time finally came, he would marry 100 wives just because. He simply stood up, completely ready to head out, when Li Wanqing suddenly bumped his shoulder, her body brushing against his. Her face instantly turned beet red, and she totally panicked. Brother, I am so sorry. I swear I did not mean to be a creep. Under the wildly strict laws here, a woman touching any part of a guy's body was a literal crime. He instantly grabbed her soft hand and said with a dead serious tone, "We are siblings. No need to be so polite with me anymore. It is totally understandable that you girls would want to touch a man. You're too good to me," she beamed. He reluctantly let go of her soft hand and confidently marched right out of. Our main character steps out of his house. Instantly, his eyes get absolutely blasted by the sheer number of women packing the streets, just endless curves and long legs everywhere. You and I are seeing a planet where literally every single woman has a completely gorgeous face. He casually wipes a nosebleed, sternly reminding himself to just keep it together. So what if the streets are overflowing with absolute beauties? He is a remarkably precious man in this world. He has to maintain that dignified aura. The second he makes his appearance, every woman on the street instantly turns around, locking their hungry eyes right onto him. One yells, "I am so thrilled. I saw man today. I am so sick of being single. I want to marry him and take him home. I would pay 500,000 for the bride price." Another snaps, "You have you no shame, thinking you can marry a guy for a measly 500,000. Just days ago, someone spent 75 million to wed a husband. The bride price plus 10 luxury villas were entirely in his name. Hearing this wild exchange, our guy is completely shocked. Absolutely shameless behavior. They think a mere 500,000 is enough for him. The sheer audacity. A little while later, he arrives at the official Mystic World distribution center. Anyone can claim a gaming helmet, but the very first batch is highly limited. Naturally, men get absolute VIP priority, ignoring the massive, densely packed crowd waiting there. He fearlessly pushes his way right past countless long, pale legs. Risking his life, he shoves his way directly to the front, completely cutting off a woman for the first spot. His blatant line cutting sparks instant anger from the girls waiting behind him. Hey guy, why are you cutting the line? He just flashes a very cold smirk. Because I am a man. His voice rings out, loud and totally overflowing with absolute confidence. Just let it go. Men first is a sacred principle passed down from our ancestors. Let him cut one woman's size. It is just one person. It will not take long at all. You are a woman. Why be so petty with a man? Another scolds. Yeah, exactly. Since when do mature women bicker with boys over such trivial little things? Dozens of women immediately start defending him. He is so deeply touched. He almost cries. This inverted world is just too damn wonderful. The girl handing out equipment sees him, hastily stands up, and pulls out a distinctly different, super sleek, pure black helmet. Hello sir, this is your designated helmet. Because you are a highly precious male citizen, we must emphasize a few crucial safety points. The moment you slip on this helmet, your consciousness fully enters the mystic world. Please ensure you choose a completely secure location before logging in today. If you get forcibly disconnected, your physical body falls into extreme danger. While inside Mystic World, you must prioritize survival above all else. If your character dies inside the Mystic World, you will permanently lose the right to enter it ever again. Finally, we sincerely hope you achieve ultimate success within the Mystic World. He appreciatively caresses the cute distributor's soft hand as a thank you. Before strutting away, the wild thought of entering Mystic World right at midnight sends real thrills down his spine. Getting home, he gives his adopted sister's soft hand another appreciative squeeze, then takes a long, truly glorious nap. He almost oversleeps. A sudden, violent palpitation in his chest jolts him right awake. On this bizarre planet, men oversleeping until they literally die of exhaustion is actually the leading cause of male mortality. It is already pitch black outside now. The sky is choked with swirling purple fog, the classic nighttime look for Earth. This purple fog totally threatened male survival, but it also forced human genetics to evolve at a crazy fast pace. Even an average person's basic physical stats easily surpassed those of top-tier athletes from his old Earth, but with big perks came big disasters. The wild animals on the planet mutated from the fog into some seriously horrifying, bloodthirsty beasts. Brother, you are awake, Lee Wonking called out to him. I slept too long, he replied. I'm hungry. Let me go make something to eat. He said it casually, but Lee Wonking looked completely horrified. Brother, how can a man cook? Let me do it. I will have it ready in a minute. Our main guy almost forgot. The law said women must do all the cooking. If a man was single, his sisters had to step up. Forcing guys to do chores was literally classified as male abuse by law. A short while later, Lee Wonking brought him dinner. Brother, Mystic World is about to open, she reminded him. You have to be super careful in there. Don't worry, he said smoothly, casually rubbing her small hand. I know my limits. In the blink of an eye, it was midnight. He put his helmet on and instantly got teleported to the start. Apprentice 19679, welcome to the Mystic World, a system voice announced. Based on your physical stats, we offer 4 background choices. Option 1, Novice Traveler. Trait, high agility, excellent stamina, possesses tireless lungs. Option 2, Fitness Apprentice. Trait, high combat talent, packing overwhelming innate physical strength. Option 3, Ordinary Villager. Trait, high reaction speed, possessing some vague special intuition. Option 4, intern doctor. Trait, healing talent, immune to specific abnormal status. Ailments, just as he was trying to weigh the pros and cons of these 4 options. The voice spoke up again, detected that this apprentice possesses astronomically high mental talent. Mental strength far exceeds that of an ordinary person. Granting a 5th option. Option 5, gifted villager trait, exceptional. Reaction speed and observation skills, holds a 6th sense for premonitions of danger before it strikes. You and I both know this is obviously the premium choice, he thought. He immediately locked in option 5. Congratulations on becoming a gifted villager. You will get premonitions when facing danger and opportunity, the voice confirmed. His vision instantly went completely pitch black. The voice whispered in his ear, you will be randomly teleported to a random trial ground. Surviving and leaving this village will successfully complete the trial. When he finally opened his eyes, he found himself standing in a foul-smelling pig pen. Bizarre gnawed bones were scattered all over the muddy floor. Besides him, there were about 10 other people in the pen. Why is it so gloomy and creepy here? A girl asked, her voice shaking with pure anxiety. The second she finished speaking, several blasts of bone-chilling wind swept through the pen, carrying an unnatural and heavy metallic stench of blood. Everyone froze up. Right then, a tall, exceptionally handsome young guy spoke up slowly. This is likely a horror-themed survival trial. His voice was loud, steady, and somehow gave everyone a weird sense of trust. When all eyes locked onto him as he laid it out, look, in this nightmare, we absolutely have to stick together. Let's team up and figure out our exact situation before we even think about beating this trial. So, what does everyone think spawning into this creepy village? Yeah, nobody was feeling relaxed at all. The tall guy's pitch to team up honestly just made total sense to everyone else. A few folks quickly nodded along. Yeah, that sounds smart. We totally need to work together. But suddenly, a duo rocking weird blue skin whispered something, traded a quick look, and without missing a beat, just turned and walked right out of that pig pen, wandering off into nowhere. The tall guy actually tried calling them back, but they totally ignored him. In the end, he just gave a bitter smile and shook his head. Let them go. 9 of us willing to team up should be plenty. Let's introduce ourselves. I am Wang Lei. So they all started dropping their names until it hit this tall woman with short hair. She just let out a cold laugh. I am Lena, and I have one thing to say here. If any imposters want to pass, do not even try messing with me. Right then, she lifted her leg and stomped down super hard. That heavy stone pig trough completely exploded into jagged pieces. The crazy force behind that single kick made everyone absolutely pale. Our MC figured she must have gotten a special class, too, because the normal strength trait from the fitness apprentice class was never this broken. Did she actually have some insider info about the mystic world? With everyone staring in shock, Lena finally spoke up. Listen, the exploration legions are the guys who get first access to the mystic world right now, and a lot of leaked info has made it out. All I will say is these trials are absolute hell. Do not trust anyone here. Absolutely do not die today, because in every single batch there is one veteran. Her words dropped massive intel bombs on them. Our guy mentally noted 3 key points. There is a veteran, there is an imposter. Never trust anybody here. Everyone standing there instantly decoded that dark hidden meaning. Right away, that nice team spirit turned super weird and paranoid. Now you and I know this timing is terrible. A door suddenly creaked open, echoing through the dead, silent village. Out of the broken-down shack near the pig pen, someone finally stepped out. It was an old guy, skin totally pale like a sheet of paper. He was so incredibly thin, basically just a walking skeleton. His weird skin was covered in brown spots, and deep inside those sunken eyes burned a totally sick, crazy light. He stretched his face into this bizarre, terrifying smile right at the group. More outsiders are here. Looks like the trial is starting. Wang Li bravely stepped Forward asking super politely, sir, are you actually a resident of this village? The old man stayed completely silent. He just stared at them, letting out this weird raspy chuckle, having to deal with his crazy, spine-chilling stare. One of the girls nervously spoke up. Sir, what are you looking at? The creepy guy giggled. I am just looking to see how you are all gonna die later. Instantly. Heavy goosebumps exploded on everyone. The very first system prompt was clear. To survive this, the biggest step was actually figuring out this village. And this old guy was their first clue. But stick with me here, his attitude made things highly clearly. This guy wasn't cooperating, just as Wang Li stepped up to try talking to him again. Another door creaked open. This time, a goofy-looking, totally harmless old man stepped out, and then more doors swung wide open. Mother and daughter, an old woman, a heavily set lady, over 10 households, emerged into the open. Wang Li took a deep breath, thinking, these people look way more normal than that creepy guy. They should be way easier to handle. Our main guy took the lead, asking the kind old man, sir, we are new to this bizarre village. How do we escape? The old man smiled gently. If you want to leave, there are two options. First, survive here for exactly 7 days. After 7 days, the sun literally will not set. That is your window to leave. Second option, fix the village's bizarre phenomenon. Makna, the dark-skinned guy, looked stunned. It is that simple. Suddenly, the larger woman standing a short distance away let out a massive, audible gulp. Her greedy eyes swept over everyone like they were prime cuts of meat. Finally, her terrifying gaze locked dead onto our hero. His scalp went totally numb. He mentally screamed, what kind of nightmare is this place? Lena, always the calmest one, stepped right up. Sir, what is this bizarre phenomenon? The old man smiled warmly. Anyone who sleeps at night without a safe roof will die. This has been happening for decades. We have no clue why either. Solve it and you walk free. Lena's face instantly darkened. That is complete garbage. How are we supposed to solve a deadly phenomenon with literally zero clues? Clearly, out of the two options, surviving for 7 days was the only realistic play. After the group quickly talked it over, Wang Li asked, sir, can we board at your houses? Of course, but each house only takes one person. Plus, if you want to stay in a villager's home, you must agree to their specific condition, he explained. The exact second he finished speaking, the watching villagers all broke into a terrifying, predatory grin, the raw hunger and anticipation in their eyes completely undisguised. The sweet old man smiled and reminded everyone, there is a little over 1 hour before nightfall. You had better start negotiating right now. Because if it gets dark and you are stuck outside, you will absolutely die. You and I know panic changes people. Nobody could sit still. A pale girl hurriedly begged, sir, I want to stay at your house. Hearing this, the old man bared his teeth into a wicked grin. His entire expression shifted. My house is out of lamp oil. You need to run to the grocery store on the next street over and buy me some. Do that, and you can crash at my place for the first night. The young girl looked absolutely thrilled. This sounded like a super easy fetch quest. She immediately agreed, but a few veteran players could not help but chuckle. They looked at her with pure pity. The girl suddenly realized something was terribly wrong and immediately tried to backtrack. Sir, maybe I should actually ask the other houses first. The old man shook his head. Once you agree, you absolutely cannot back out. Break it and nobody takes you in. Want to chain houses? You will have to wait until tomorrow night. The pale girl had zero choice but to swallow her massive regret and step back. Now the huge woman smiled right at our hero. You feel the dread yet? He forced a smile and asked, Miss, what is your condition? The woman wiped away. Drool continuously leaked from the corner of her mouth. She grinned. Just let me eat 1 piece of your meat every single day. Don't be scared, I definitely won't eat all of you, just 1 slice a day. I will cut very carefully. It won't hurt. Our guy's blood ran cold. Yeah, right, he thought, but didn't dare say it out loud. Terrified of provoking this freak, he forced a nervous laugh. I think I will Pass on that, ma'am. I don't want to be eaten. Maybe ask the others. And bye. Now you and I can see the terrifying truth here. Completing conditions to secure a bed could easily get them killed. Suddenly, a low female voice spoke up. It was the quietest woman in the group of 9. She was pretty heavily built but absolutely gorgeous. She coldly marched straight up to the obese woman, lightning fast. She shot her hand out and clamped it right around the obese woman's throat. I'll just kill you, then I can take your house, right? Everyone froze, but she had a point. Why bother negotiating with these monsters? There were no laws in this mystic world, but that naive little fantasy was swiftly and brutally shattered by the villagers. The obese woman, despite currently being choked out, started clapping her hands joyfully. She looked at the old man and squealed, haha. She attacked first. Village chief, can I eat her now? The old man just gave a slight nod before the strong woman who started the attack could even blink. Boom. In 1 second, her head was squeezed by the obese woman until it popped like a bloody water balloon. The headless corpse was dragged right inside the house. Immediately, the awful, shrill sound of a meat knife being sharpened echoed from inside. The village chief looked at the rest of them. You will not be able to stay at that house anymore, he stated, totally calmly. The sheer speed and brutality of that execution left the remaining 8 standing completely frozen, absolutely shell-shocked. Massive waves of terror crashed over them. One woman was so terrified she actually wet her pants. The only person who managed to keep her cool was Lena. She looked around like absolutely nothing had just happened. Her gaze landed right on the old woman. What do I need to do to stay at your house? The old woman replied, I am out of water. You need to help me fetch water from the well in the center of the village. Just fill the water vat before tomorrow. Lena glanced at the gross moss-covered vat in front of the old woman's door and just nodded. I will stay at your house. The rest of the group, finally snapping out of their total shock, walked up to the other houses with pale faces, asking for their lodging conditions, knowing that these villagers could casually slaughter them if provoked made everyone's heart sink. Compared to whatever insane phenomenon happened at night, these specific villagers seemed way more immediately dangerous. Following the rules and securing a safe place to sleep was the absolute top priority right now. Although our guy hadn't moved yet, he was carefully observing the other villagers. When he thought about asking the village chief for his condition, an overwhelming, suffocating aura of pure danger radiated from him. That heavy, oppressive feeling practically screamed at him, if you choose the village chief, you will absolutely 100% die. This had to be his special ability, his sixth sense. He continued scanning the crowd, trying to find the villager with the absolute lowest aura of danger, and stick with me here. He realized the least dangerous. Our guy finds that creepy, pale, skeleton-like old man from the very beginning. He approaches him asking, Sir, how can I help you in exchange for lodging? The creepy old guy replies, ice gold, debt collection, a lot of villagers owe me. Collect a debt from just one person and you can stay one night. Collect debts from these monsters. His heart drops. Is his intuition messing with him? After a tense silence, he decides to trust his ability. He agrees to the old man's twisted terms and steps right inside the house. The old guy tosses a beaten, tattered ledger onto the table. He flips to page 1. It reads, Village chief owes half a caddy of lamp oil. He instantly flips to the next page. He already knows that no matter what happens, he is absolutely not going anywhere near that ridiculously lethal village chief. Blacksmith Jiao owes 5 caddies of meat. The widow and her son owe 20 bundles of firewood. This ledger records all kinds of bizarre debts, easily 10 to 20 entries. Seeing the other players already scrambling, absolutely terrified. They won't finish before dark. Our guy thinks it over. He decides to go track down Blacksmith Lee for the meat. Soon, he arrives at the blacksmith's shop. Outside, a young guy in modern clothes is chatting with an absolute giant of a man standing over 2 meters tall. waiting for that guy to leave, he quickly steps right up. Sir, are you Blacksmith Lee? The giant shoots him a look. Kid, you looking to stay here too? His face stiffens. Does that mean the young guy before him was also negotiating lodging? But here is the thing, he had never seen that guy before, meaning the number of players trapped in this wild village trial is way bigger than we thought. No time to overthink it now, cutting straight to the chase. No, Blacksmith Lee, I am here to collect a debt for that old man. He says you owe him 5 caddies of meat. The second he hears about debt collection, it's like our guy stepped on a landmine. Blacksmith Lee's face instantly darkens. His massive eyes suddenly turn glowing blood red. Veins and muscles bulge grotesquely across his huge body right before his eyes. Suddenly, an overwhelming, crushing premonition of imminent death crashes over him. Panicking completely, he throws his hands up, shouting, Brother Lei, I'm just passing a message. If you don't want to pay, hey, that is totally fine. The exact moment he says that, Blacksmith Lee slowly calms down, his body returning to its normal shape. He says evenly, since he sent you to collect, I will absolutely pay it. Our guy is overjoyed, but that next sentence shoves him off cliff. However, you have to trade the meat on your own body for it. I won't take too much. 5 caddies for 5 caddies. He violently shakes his head. No need, Brother Lee, I am way too skinny and my health is awful. If you cut me, I will definitely die. That creepy old man has plenty of other debts to collect. This guy is literally demanding his life. If this giant blacksmith actually tries to harvest his flesh, there is absolutely no way he outruns him. But surprisingly, when Blacksmith Lee hears he wants to keep collecting debts for the old man, he pauses for a second, lets out a sinister chuckle, and pulls out a razor-sharp boning knife, tossing it right in front of him. Take this knife to the butcher's house on the east side for me. Do that, and you get your 5 caddies of meat. I won't make you work for free. Once it's done, I will gift you a small blade. His vision goes completely dark. A pure, lethal aura surrounds him. Delivering this knife, total suicide mission. Hands shaking, he picks up the blade. Instantly, system information floods straight into his mind. A specially forged boning knife. Rule 1, do not get slashed. Single slip-up means getting sliced completely in half. Next, details about the dagger next to it pop up. An exquisite short blade by Blacksmith Lee, a perfect self-defense weapon, since things are already this crazy. He has 0 other options. Just grit his teeth and head straight east. Now, you and I should see how the other players are trying to clear their own conditions. That pale girl is currently standing outside the grocery store, following the chief's strict orders. She tells the owner, I need some lamp oil for the village chief. The shopkeeper is a gaunt, creepy-looking guy. Slouching in his chair, he mutters, where's the trade item? The girl looks totally confused. What trade item? The creep suddenly opens his mouth, showing off 2 huge, razor-sharp fangs. If you have nothing, I'll just grind you into oil. Then I'll send half to him. Elsewhere, Makina stands by the pig pen, pouring some gross slop into the feeding trough, but the black pigs completely ignore it. Makina is totally baffled. Why aren't they eating? Suddenly, a low voice growls back, because we want your meat. Makina instantly freezes, looking around in pure panic. He quickly realizes the voice came from a pig inside the pen. A second later, the animals twist their faces into absolute human-like insanity. They snap their bloody, terrifying jaws wide open and lunge right at him. Meanwhile, our hero is standing just outside the butcher's house, staring at the front door in total horror. Human limbs literally dangle from iron hooks, huge piles of rotting meat everywhere. In his head, he curses Blacksmith Lee and his entire family tree 365 times. That jerk sent me to die. Deliver the knife and then what? Just let this psycho butcher me and hang me up. The closer he gets to the butcher's place, the louder his survival instincts scream at him to just run, but massive dark clouds are already swarming the village sky. Being caught outside after dark, guaranteed death. but handing a weapon straight. To this butcher also means knocking on death's door. Then, suddenly, the heavy wooden door violently swings open, a massive, terrifying guy gripping a bloody knife steps right out. Spotting no one, he slowly lumbers off in another direction. Our guy is thrilled. The blacksmith's only real rule was to drop the knife at the house, not hand it directly over to the murderous butcher himself. Without hesitating, he completely sprints right into the slaughterhouse, slams the knife down onto a massive bloody chopping block, and spins around to bolt. But right before he crosses the doorway, the heavy door slams shut with a massive bang. A voice echoes out, "Who are you? How dare you sneak into my house?" He whips around and nearly jumps right out of his own skin. Standing right there is a kid whose face looks like it was brutally carved up with a blade, staring right at him with totally blank, pupilless eyes. It's the butcher's son, not wanting to mess with. All right, you and I are watching him grab the handle, yank hard, but it's completely jammed, stuck fast, like pulling a massive boulder weighing thousands of pounds. Our guy can't believe this kid is that strong. He's sweating bullets now. If the butcher returns, he is absolute dead meat. He stammers, "Not a thief, just delivering knife for blacksmith Lee," he blurts out. The creepy kid just stares at the blade on the block, then slowly nods. Seeing his chance, our MC asks, "Hey kiddo, mind opening the door?" A slow head shake. He is absolutely frustrated, wants to scream, but he forces a fake, warm smile and asks gently, "Why not?" The kid replies, "Dad tests the knives. If they are dull, he'll chop you up and eat you. If you run away, he takes it out on me." "Relax," the boy adds. "Dad just went shopping. He will be back real soon." Hearing that total panic attack, our MC begs him, "Kid, open the door. I'll buy you the best food." "Can't open my mouth. I hate eating and drinking the most," the boy replies. He parts that lipless, toothless mouth. It looks horribly, crudely stitched together with a thick needle and thread. A violent shudder hits him. This insane butcher is unbelievably cruel, even to his own flesh and blood. What hope does a stranger have? He can practically picture himself on that bloody butcher block, just being hacked to pieces and hung on meat hooks. "Hey kid, how about hide and seek?" he suddenly blurts out, a desperate survival plan forming fast. "We can play while waiting for your dad." The creepy kid lights up immediately. "Yes. I love that game, but I always have to play alone." "Okay, you be the seeker, I'll hide and you find me." The boy nods eagerly. "All right, I'm the seeker." "Great, turn around, close your eyes and count to 20. You can't peek until you hit 20. "No problem at all, I will close my eyes, count to 20, then come find you." The kid takes the bait. Our guy quietly exhales, "But hey kiddo, this house is tiny. Finding you will be way too easy. How about you open the door? I'll hide right outside, right next to the house. You come out and find me," he suggests, carefully testing the waters. The kid freezes. "You aren't trying to run away, right?" He forces a laugh. "Me run? Never, I don't lie. I promise I will wait right by this house." "Okay then, I will open it up." The boy nods. "Oh, by the way, mister, if I catch you, you're becoming my new toy." Saying this, that hollow, stitched mouth twists into an absolutely horrifying grin. The hair on his arm stands straight up. He scrambles to open the door, right as he is about to step outside. He spots a massive, terrifying figure lumbering straight down the dark alley toward the house. "Stick with me, this gets wild." "Deal," our guy shouts. "Now turn around and close your eyes." The weird kid beams, turns around and starts counting. 1, 2, 3. That hollow, creepy voice keeps going, but our MC is already sprinting like his life depends on it, because the butcher is right there clutching a massive boning knife. The monster spotted him. By the time he sprints all the way back to Blacksmith Lee's, he's totally exhausted, barely standing, gasping for air. He yells, "Uncle Lee, knife delivered," and even though he is mentally cursing the old man to hell, outwardly, he keeps up the innocent act perfectly. Click, the blacksmith's heavy door slowly opens. Uncle Lee Uncle Lee stood there, staring at our MC like he was totally shocked to see him back. Alive, that is, the guy looked him up and down. You actually delivered it without losing a single limb. Our boy gasped for air, explaining the butcher had just stepped out, so he gave the knife to his son, whom you have got some serious luck, kid, fine. Since you pulled it off, take these. Uncle Lee vanished inside, returning a second later to toss out a hunk of greasy meat in a bag, along with something wrapped up in leather. Our MC caught the meat, exhaling a massive sigh of total relief. He had finally met the crazy lodging requirement, but right before he could unwrap that second item, Uncle Lee let out a really weird, sinister laugh, just a friendly reminder it is 2 minutes until dark, and you and I know that run too. The old guy's place is going to take way more than 2 or 3 minutes, you absolute jerk. Why didn't you say so earlier? Our hero's face instantly drained of all its color. The second he realized the danger, he grabbed the gear and the pork and bolted like an absolute maniac toward that creepy old man's house. As he sprinted blindly past the tall grass and ruined shacks, glowing blood red eyes started peering out of the dark, staring intensely right at him. He was so completely terrified his soul nearly left his body. Man, he wished for a third leg right then, just to run faster. Thankfully, after a desperate, frantic sprint, he finally spotted the old wooden shack and its dim, flickering yellow light. The creepy old guy's house. He was only 10 meters away, despite his absolute mental exhaustion. A massive wave of pure relief and salvation washed over him, but right at the exact moment he opened his mouth to yell out to the old guy, a hoarse, ear-piercing voice dripping with pure, manic excitement sounded directly behind him. Mister, I caught you. Instantly, it felt as though two massive, vice-like hands clamped tightly around his ankles. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not move a single inch. His sixth sense screamed like a massive alarm, warning him of complete doom. Was he going to die? Is this what death feels like? Using every single ounce of strength he had left, he screamed toward the shack. Sir, I brought the stuff back. I completed the condition. Just as a heavy, suffocating stench of blood was about to hit his face, someone said, "Oh my." The door to the old man's house slowly creaked open. A weak, dim light spilled right out onto the dirt path ahead. That awful stench of blood hovering right next to him abruptly vanished. The creepy old man stood in the doorway, staring at him completely coldly. He actually looked slightly disappointed. Then his eyes dropped to the hunk of pork in our hero's hand. Come in, he said, totally devoid of any emotion. He struggled to move his jelly-like legs, limping awkwardly into the dark house. The moment the door clicked shut, he collapsed onto the hard, foul-smelling wooden floorboards, just panting uncontrollably. It was right then he realized that large patches of skin on his paralyzed legs had turned totally pitch black. Looking closer, they were the exact shape of two massive handprints. The creepy old guy let out a cold snort and snatched the meat straight from his hands. Lucky, yeah, incredibly lucky, he thought. He knew without a single doubt that if he had been even 1 second slower, game over. And folks, that is what happens if you miss curfew here. But seriously, what the hell was that monster outside? After sitting in the dark for about half an hour, his racing heart and completely frayed nerves finally calmed down. The creepy old man's house. You and I have seen bad inns. Aside from a broken bed, there was only some rotting, useless junk. The house stayed dead silent, the only light source coming from a dying oil lamp. It flickered wildly, throwing weird shadows all over the tiny space. That creepy old man stayed totally silent, and he definitely wasn't brave enough to start chatting. Then, out of nowhere, a massive, blood-curdling scream shattered the dead silence of the village. Outside, help, open the door, save me, no. The frantic screams suddenly stopped cold. The creepy silence rolled right back in. Obviously, some poor soul who failed the lodging rules just got absolutely butchered out there. Remembering those glowing red eyes, a violent shiver shook his entire body. Completely terrified and totally helpless, all he could do was sigh heavily, because honestly, even If he actually wanted to play hero, he had zero power to save anyone. A long time passed by, his stomach grumbled loudly. "Sir, could you spare some food?" he asked, staring at the sketchy piece of food on the old guy's table. When you are starving, you cannot be picky, but the creepy man refused to say a word. The message was loud and clear. "Absolutely not. Sir, do you know what exactly those things outside are?" He pushed. Still nothing but dead silence. He finally gave up. This weird old guy clearly did not care about acknowledging his existence at all. Helpless, he just leaned back against the cold wall to rest. He just needed to survive until dawn, and then he could hunt for food himself. Today was pure madness. He needed a moment to process everything, to figure out these crazy rules so he could survive tomorrow. He did not know how much time had passed. The lamp oil finally ran dry. The light quietly died. Then a massive, unnatural wave of pure exhaustion suddenly hit him hard, and his eyelids felt like literal lead weights. He shook his head wildly, desperately trying to fight it, but you and I know this heavy fatigue felt completely unnatural. Almost like someone else's. No matter how hard he fought, resisting felt useless. His only craving was to drop his head and just pass out peacefully, even though his entire gut screamed that this weird sleepiness was a trap. His brain was rapidly shutting down completely, unable to think straight. This heavy, drugged feeling was making him forget all about the deadly danger. Right as he was slipping away into total darkness, his survival instinct screamed. A blast of freezing cold air violently snapped him awake. He glanced at the window. Shoved into every single crack and corner were hundreds of glowing, blood-red eyes of every possible shape and size, just staring hungrily right at him inside the room. But seeing him suddenly awake, they completely vanished in an absolute flash, leaving behind this thick, lingering feeling of pure disappointment. Honestly, it was like those creepy things had never even been there. What on earth were those things? We all know exactly what happens if his instincts had not warned him. Those red-eyed monsters would have easily broken right in and eaten him alive until literally nothing was left. Were those the crazy supernatural threats cursing this weird village? Had they seriously just been waiting for him to fall asleep? That magical drowsiness vanished in seconds, replaced by absolute terror. Then a sudden whoosh. The quiet sound of breath blowing softly in the dark echoed through the room. It was that creepy guy casually adding oil to the lamp. Our guy watched as those completely white, empty eyes locked right onto him. Absolutely terrifying. "Didn't expect you to stay awake," the old man rasped. Our guy's eyes filled with absolute suspicion. He stayed quiet for a second before finally asking, "Sir, is it true that if there are no lights on inside the house, someone's exhaustion will just multiply?" Out of control, the creepy old guy froze, giving him this long, intense stare, but said absolutely nothing. Looks like our boy guessed right. The fact that he didn't relight that oil lamp meant the old man had pure evil intentions right from the start. They fell right back into that heavy silence. Finding those glowing red eyes really shook him. You and I know the madness of this village far exceeded anything he ever imagined. Suddenly, he forced a tight, serious smile and said to the old guy, "Sir, I really need to understand the dark situation in this village. If you share just a bit of info, maybe we can actually solve whatever insane curse is plaguing this place. Solve the bizarre curse in the village." The old man's pale face went completely dark. "You will die a very gruesome death." Typical. Asking him gave zero real answers, but deep down, our MC already had the answer he needed. That creepy reaction basically confirmed a deeply terrifying theory he had been forming. Nobody spoke another word for the rest of the long night. Obviously, he was exhausted, but every single time he closed his eyes, those demonic red eyes flashed back, forcing him to grit his teeth and fight that exhaustion until the very first light of dawn. Seeing that the creepy old man had finally fallen asleep, our guy just gave into the heavy anxiety, slowly drifting off. His sleep was weak and restless. Then a woman's shrieking scream snapped him right awake. seeing that he was actually still in one piece. His very first reaction was a massive sigh of relief. He had somehow survived the first day. He looked up at the bright sunlight streaming right into the house. After a moment of deep thought, he decided to step outside and check the damage. He looked around and his expression instantly went dark. The quiet village, bathed in sunlight, looked totally dead and completely desolate. Zero birds singing, zero insects chirping. The heavy atmosphere felt exactly like an abandoned hospital morgue. Now the doors and windows of those rotting, broken down wooden houses from yesterday were all totally splashed with huge amounts of fresh blood. The dirt roads were littered with actual human bones, gnawed horrifyingly clean. Blood, mud, and absolute gore were splattered everywhere, a literal scene from hell. Our guy stared, and trust me, his breathing unconsciously sped way up. Soon, two figures walked out from a nearby house. One of them was Lena. She looked at him and stated flatly, "Looks like our group only has 4 survivors left." Suddenly, Wang Zai-ching quickly covered her mouth, gasping in pure horror. "Lena, your arm." "It's nothing," Lena coldly replied. "It got completely eaten yesterday while I was getting water." He had noticed it the very second she walked out. Lena's arm and chest were stained a totally repulsive metallic dark red. Her hand was completely gone. Wang Zai-ching asked, her voice tight with heavy worry, "How are you gonna complete today's twisted condition like that?" Lena went totally silent. "They never planned to let us pass this deadly trial peacefully," she said. Suddenly, a hoarse female voice echoed right down the empty, ruined village dirt road. The 4 of them turned to look. 7 or 8 random people were walking toward them. The speaker was a tall, stunning woman with a very distinctive beauty mark. "We are the surviving participants from the other 2 trial groups. All right, let us watch this unfold." A curvy woman spoke up. "I am Yang Qingchen. Let us discuss an action plan." The 4 of them traded looks. After surviving yesterday's horrors, they all universally, wordlessly agreed on this. Now, regarding the actual existence of other trial groups, our guy already noticed clues yesterday, so he wasn't totally shocked. The 12 remaining survivors from all 3 groups finally gathered up in a circle. Li now glanced around and spoke first. "I seriously doubt anyone wants to face those brutal lodging conditions again, right? So, let us discuss our other 2 options, solving this bizarre village phenomenon or just finding an exit out of here. First off, does anyone know what is causing these weird phenomena?" Everyone fell completely silent. "I know a bit," a voice whispered. Suddenly, a stunning woman, completely covered in nasty injuries, slowly raised her hand. Every single eye darted to her. "Yesterday, I finished my lodging condition alongside a drunkard," she explained slowly. Her face turned even paler as she spoke, voice shaking hard. "He told me a secret. The only purpose of every single villager here is to literally eat us, staying within the boundaries of their rules." That intel dropped like a total nuke for a group already terrified. This massive reveal multiplied their blind panic tenfold. Following a heavy silence, everyone realized they fully believed her, given the relentless nightmare of this village and everything they had endured. Her crazy claim actually made perfect, twisted sense. "I believe the rule is they cannot attack us freely. They can only use our condition completion process as a valid excuse to kill us." Yang Qingchen voiced the dark theory forming in everybody's heads. "Does anyone have any other clues or even specific traps we need to dodge right now?" Several players finally spoke up. Two guys from my squad hit the grocery store and died. Better to avoid that spot entirely. Even though we cannot leave at night, I noticed that the villagers absolutely can. One by one, players dropped useful survival tips. Thinking for a quick second, our guy shared his own observation. "Always keep a light on in your room. If it goes dark, you fall asleep way faster. And once you are asleep, those creepy villagers do whatever they want. I highly recommend crafting a backup torch." Everyone's expressions instantly turned super grave. "You and I both know that is exactly why so many died last night." Yang Qingchen nodded right along. Now, as for his own personal theories regarding the true cause behind the village horrors, deductions made using his incredible observation skills, even though he had solid clues and huge suspicions, he chose to keep them strictly to himself for now, with nobody else adding anything. Yang Qingchen kept going. It seems we will not uncover the entire truth in one single day. Let us prioritize finding a clear exit out of here first. We can discuss gathering more intel later on. What does everyone think? After all, this true original objective of this trial was surviving to escape the village, not to just survive for 7 days like the villagers claimed. This smart proposal won unanimous group approval. However, the cursed village was massive, surrounded by thick fog on all sides, completely blocking their vision. Finding an exit would take major time. So the 12 of them split into 4 search parties. Each trio would search independently, meeting back up in exactly 2 hours. Our guy got grouped with. All right, you and I are following Kai, Lena, and the long-haired woman. Conveniently they're already acquainted, so zero awkwardness here. The trio walks in absolute silence, very carefully scanning the area, but then out of nowhere, Lena looks right at Kai. What was your name again? This sudden question catches him completely off guard. Kai Shukun. It's just pure coincidence that he shares a name with a literal megastar on this planet. Lena totally thinks he's lying. She rolls her eyes in heavy annoyance, sighs, and snaps. You know something about our situation, don't you? He flinches. Stop playing dumb, Lena demands. My ability actually tells me that you hold the most information out of everyone here right now. Kai stares at Lena in shock. He definitely never expected her to have a power like that. Her claim yesterday about those imposters definitely came straight from this exact power. Lena's sudden accusation makes the black-haired beauty stare intensely right at him too. If we can't find an exit, I'll tell everyone later. It's definitely not something I can handle alone, Kai finally admits. Lena simply nods, choosing not to push it. The black-haired beauty gives him this long, calculating look, but decides to stay perfectly silent. The trio keeps searching. Over at the far eastern edge of the village sits a dark, dense forest. An incredibly terrifying premonition suddenly screams at him. If they enter those woods, they are never coming out alive. Lena and the black-haired woman clearly sense the danger too, showing zero desire to actually risk it. Dead end. Obviously, there is no exit here. They briefly confer and decide to turn back. Passing a completely ruined, broken-down house, Kai suddenly stops dead in his tracks. I need your help. It's absolutely critical for us surviving this trial. Lena raises an eyebrow. Just say it. No problem. The other woman echoes. Kai doesn't waste any time, staring grimly right at the abandoned house. Inside, thick spiderwebs blanket absolutely every single surface. The ground is littered with yellowed bones, alongside a freshly torn, brutally bloody human skeleton, probably some poor guy who couldn't find safe lodging yesterday and tried hiding in this exact shack. Now you and I need to look up. There's a massive, dark red web, and hanging right from it is a colossal 3-meter shadow, a humanoid spider. The head is eerily human, but the mouth is completely packed with razor-sharp fangs. It has 8 long, spindly legs. Seeing this absolute nightmare, the color instantly drains from both Lena and the black-haired woman's faces. Without hesitating for a single second, they grab Kai and violently yank him right out of the house. Are you out of your damn mind? You want us to fight these things? Kai speaks calmly. If we don't find an exit, we aren't surviving 7 days. This is it. I'm 50% sure we can kill it right now. The black-haired woman and Lena exchange serious look. 50% isn't low, honestly, compared to fighting those totally unhinged villagers. Fighting this monster is practically heaven. Lena and the black-haired woman think for a moment before replying. Let's head back first. If there's really no way out, we'll agree to try fighting. When the trio finally returns to the rendezvous point, the other 2 groups are already waiting. Their search results exactly the same. total dead ends. Now all they can do is wait for Yang Qingshan's group to return. Minutes later, Yang Qingshan comes sprinting toward them. Her first sentence brings everyone pure ecstatic joy. We found the exit, but we dared not enter, she adds, frowning hard. Instantly, all their collective hope gets completely wiped out, replaced by disappointment. At the edge of the village sits a heavy black fog. They scouted it out, but no one dared to step inside, so she returned alone to gather everyone. Let us go check the situation together. Watch closely now. 30 minutes later, a path appears from the woods. The actual exit is totally swallowed by pitch black fog. A nasty, foul smell rolls out of it. Yang Qingshan started with 3 people, but now it is just her and one guy left. Noticing the missing girl from their squad, someone asks where she went. The nervous guy replies, right after you left, she walked in to check it out. She has not returned yet. Hearing this, all their faces turn ghostly pale, but Lena stays completely cool. She walks forward, stepping right up to the very edge of the fog. She slowly sticks her hand inside, feeling zero danger. Right after that, she steps halfway into the shadow. Seconds later, Lena walks back out. I think I spotted 8 massive pale doors just ahead, but zero sign of your missing teammate. Maybe she actually went through one. Could those weird doors be the real exit out of here? Yang Qingshan nods, totally agreeing with the idea. I say we all enter together. Even if trouble waits, our numbers give us a real fighting chance to survive. The dozen survivors start thinking hard about this. If they did not know staying all 7 days meant certain death, literally nobody would view this sketchy exit as their only hope. Let us just go take a quick look. If things feel off, we run back immediately. Most of the party totally agreed with this plan. Yang Qingshan smiles, but then our main character suddenly interrupts. He refuses to enter. Get this, you guys. His rejection completely shocks everyone. His gut feeling was absolutely screaming. Right before he agreed, his instincts flared up with a massive warning of pure catastrophic danger. Yang Qingshan does not push him. Instead, she gently says, if they do not return in half an hour, I will enter. Wait, she just wanted everyone to go together. Ultimately, only 2 people actually stay outside, our hero and the quiet long-haired woman. The rest of the squad slowly walks deep into that pitch-black fog. Everyone feels hopeful but super on edge. Step by step, they walk about 10 meters. The closer they get to those giant doors, the more it feels like a deadly trap. Several guys feel their hair standing up, but they still push forward. Finally, the group reaches the towering doors. Standing right before these 2-meter-tall white doors, someone tries to push one open with maximum effort, but it refuses to budge. One guy says, I feel like this is just a massive magnified tooth. The moment he finishes speaking, a freaky, grotesque voice booms loudly out of absolutely nowhere. Ha ha ha, wonderful, so much fresh meat. Just wonderful. Hearing this sick voice, all the color instantly drains from everyone, touching those giant white doors. Right after that, the massive doors begin to shake violently. This is a trap. Run. Yang Qingshan reacts the fastest, screaming loudly at the top of her lungs. The group snaps into reality and starts sprinting madly back towards the entrance. Just as Yang Qingshan turns around, row of giant white doors slams down from above. With a nasty crunch, she and 3 others who were simply too slow are bitten right in half. Let's jump in. The first one to burst from that black fog was Lena. 4 others followed right behind her, running for their lives. Even after clearing the thick fog, these 5 survivors didn't dare stop. They sprinted over 100 meters before finally looking back at the fog, their souls practically ripped right from their bodies in pure terror. The black-haired woman and our main character locked eyes, both feeling incredibly lucky they didn't go in. They stepped forward to join them. What happened? Where is Yang Qingshan? He asked. Anyone who didn't make it out is dead. It was a total trap, Lena said coldly, regaining her composure. There's a horrifying, massive monster in there. Those white doors were actually its teeth. His sixth sense had been dead on. The survivors, pale and gasping for air, collapsed on the ground, several minutes later as their bodies slowly recovered. One guy finally cried out in total despair. "We can't use the exit. Does that mean we really have to survive here for 7 full days before we can leave? What if we still can't leave after 7 days?" These two brutal questions plunged the group's morale straight into the abyss. He sighed. Internally, the whole area grew dead silent. After a while, Lena turned to him. "The exit is a dead end. Now, can you tell us how we pass this trial?" Hearing this, everyone stared at our guy in absolute disbelief. "Lena, what do you mean?" "He knows how to pass the trial," our protagonist sighed. "I never expected things to turn out like this. If I had known people were going to die, I would have spoken up sooner." His response ignited a blazing fire of hope in their eyes. "Before I say anything, I have one condition. After you hear this information, you all must follow my orders. As long as we can get out, I'll follow you." For people desperately clinging to a lifeline, this was an easy sell, so he continued. "My method is to completely eliminate the source of the villages bizarre phenomenon. In reality, there was never any supernatural anomaly in this village to begin with. The villagers' words were just a giant smoke screen to mislead us. They force us to stay for 7 days, then wait until we are fast asleep to kill us. So get this, there is no abstract phenomenon here, or rather, the villagers themselves are the monsters. Hearing this wild theory, everyone shivered uncontrollably. So the only way to eliminate the source of the anomaly and pass this trial is to slaughter every single villager. He based this massive deduction entirely on his terrifying experiences from last night. First were those anomalies that appeared at nightfall, last night right after dark when he was nearly caught by whatever that thing was. A major question popped into his head. Why did they appear so suddenly? It seemed like they literally lived in the ruined shacks, old houses, and even unnoticed patches of grass. As soon as night fell, they came out. This led him to a wild hypothesis, assuming these twisted, anomalous entities were actually the villagers or creatures from the village. Then they're living in the village made perfect sense. Later, when the red eyes appeared, he expanded on the theory that the villagers were the monsters. He wondered if the villagers, bound by some rule, played the role of normal people during the day, but at night broke free of those restrictions to become monsters, brutally killing any participants who broke the rules, like going outside or going to sleep at night. Two key pieces of information absolutely confirmed his deduction. First, think back to the daytime discussion. Someone mentioned the villagers wandering out at night. The villagers clearly weren't afraid of these anomalies at all. The only logical reason, it's painfully simple. They were the anomalies themselves. Second, last night our main character intentionally asked that creepy old man about the origin of these anomalies. It was a pure test to verify his hypothesis. Logically, if monsters were actually plaguing the village, why ignore his question? The cold, hard truth that he completely refused to answer leaves one grim possibility. They are the anomalies. They obviously won't help the players hunt themselves down. He firmly believed his deduction was dead on, but this brutal theory instantly crushed whatever tiny spark of hope the others had left. It's over. They simply cannot escape. Lena's face goes totally pale. It wasn't that she refused to believe him. It was precisely because she fully believed him that this death trial felt utterly impossible. A single villager could easily wipe them out. How were they ever supposed to kill everyone to clear the game? The group naturally panicked for a bit. Then the black-haired woman speaks up softly. "Tell us, how do you plan to handle this mess? You must have a plan, right?" Her words make the whole team realize just how terrifyingly calm he is, like everything is perfectly in his hands. He doesn't answer right away, tossing back a question instead. "Haven't you guys noticed? We can all see this village is completely illogical. It's way too quiet during the day, right? This morning, Wang Jiacheng was screaming in pure terror, yet the only ones who actually woke up were the players. those monster villagers slept like logs. That is a massive red flag. With their insane strength, there is zero chance they wouldn't hear it. Remember yesterday when they all woke up at the exact same time? It was right at dusk when zero sunlight remained. Therefore, he drops his second major deduction. During the daytime, these villagers physically cannot or simply will not wake up. He suspects they are absolutely terrified of the sun. The system wouldn't make a completely impossible trial. The daylight is there. One golden opportunity. He doesn't hide anything. He lays it all out quickly. The team falls into deep thought, silently processing his breakdown. This wild explanation brings their hope right back. But honestly, even after thinking for a few minutes, nobody makes a single move. Our guy breaks the heavy silence. Just knowing these freaky villagers cannot move in daylight isn't enough to kill them. He has a solid method, but he needs everyone's full cooperation. What do you need from us? Just say it. One brave guy steps up, making his stance crystal clear. We believe you can lead us through this deadly trial now. Does it involve killing that giant spider? Lena asks. He nods. No. One objects. At this critical point, everyone begins completely trusting his lead. Very quickly, the 7 players rush back to that ruined house, staring up at the horrifying humanoid spider clinging to the ceiling. Every face turns completely grim. Just do exactly what we discussed on the way here, he instructs them. Everyone exchanges nervous glances and rapidly springs into action. Wait, why are you running outside? The pretty woman asks in total shock as he literally bolts. Shouldn't the fragile girls avoid doing all this dangerously heavy lifting? But this is a survival trial, he snaps back. You are acting clueless right now. Protecting men is your basic duty here, got it? He barks at her. The ladies are left totally speechless, turning back to start the dirty work, because our guy absolutely refuses to get injured, much less die. After all, he still has it. All right, you and I knew our guy had a hidden trump card. Bam, the windows shattered. Cold sunlight flooded the room. The group sprinted outside, watching closely. Then a blood-curdling screech pierced the air. Right after that, boom, a massive earthquake seemed to strike the old building. The deafening crashes rocked the entire structure. The walls literally started caving in. Our MC scanned the nearby houses. Just as he suspected, there was zero movement anywhere. During daytime, these villagers were locked down by some crazy restriction, forced into a heavy sleep. Realizing this fact, our guy let out a huge sigh of relief. His theory was spot on, but what about the spider monster trapped in that sunlight? Was it totally dead or just heavily wounded? That agonizing scream definitely meant intense pain. 2 minutes passed and the house fully collapsed into rubble. Silence fell. The eerie village returned to its usual dead quiet. Everyone stared at him, waiting for orders. He paused for 5 minutes before speaking up. Let us go check inside. If that thing is still breathing, retreat instantly. The whole team cautiously stepped forward, but then Lena screamed out, yelling at everyone to run. Several players scrambled away in pure panic, but one girl reacted too late. From the shadows, a thick web shot outward, wrapping dead tight around her thigh. The girl shrieked in absolute terror, begging for her life. Lito's crew rushed to pull her away. Right then, the monster's massive leg, completely covered in nasty bony spikes, struck out. Slash. With a sickening crunch, the girl's leg was cleanly sliced by the razor-sharp point. She lost a limb, sure, but somehow she actually survived. From the dark shadows, 8 terrifying legs slowly emerged. The giant beast, its glowing red eyes burning with pure rage, hoisted the severed limb to its massive jaws, grinding it into bloody paste before swallowing it completely. The beast roared out, "Do you actually want to die here? How dare you burn me with sunlight? I will kill you. Every single one of you." Despite the heavy stench of fresh blood and those terrifying threats, our MC stood perfectly calm. Without blinking, he called out to the terrified players trying to flee, "Why are you panicking? Just look. Does that monster even dare to step outside and chase us?" The group froze, staring back at the creature. It was totally stuck at the doorway, refusing to pursue. He smirked at The monster, chuckling, quit faking it, why not come out and fight? Normally, breaking a rule makes you thrilled to devour us, he then glanced back at his team, still not getting it. We can totally crush it right now, the spider is severely weakened by that daylight. Yeah, it just sliced off a leg in a single strike, but that just means it has a tiny bit of fight left. Seeing they still refused to attack, our guy's face darkened, dropping a heavy threat. I will say this once. Go kill it right now. Refuse to follow my lead, and I will switch up my entire plan for surviving this trial. I will just clear it solo. His harsh warning was super effective. You know the drill. Rather than waiting 7 days, they would rather face this daytime nerfed monster as a squad. After a quick moment of hesitation, the panic settled. Following a tense beat of silence led by Lena, they spun back and fully surrounded the beast. The spider stayed completely silent, a chilling glare radiated from its massive face. Go for the head, Lena yelled, and everyone charged forward. The second this crazy battle kicked off, the spider roared, spitting a massive wad of webbing blasts at Lena, closely followed by razor-sharp bone spikes. Lena, one of the strongest fighters, dodges sideways. She unleashes an absolutely savage roundhouse kick straight into that bone spike. Crack, one of the spider's massive legs is shattered. Seeing this, the team's morale skyrockets, and they unleash an absolute barrage of attacks. Another spike snaps thanks to the black-haired woman. Suddenly, the monster's legs are totally tied up, dealing with Lena's squad, not a single limb free. Spotting an opening, one girl yells, "Now's our chance." She fiercely lunges to strike the spider's head, but she has no idea that the second she gets close, its bloated abdomen would erupt, spraying out terrifying steel-like webbing. Like flying razors, those webs effortlessly slice the poor girl into bloody chunks. Blood sprays across their faces. Everyone stands completely frozen in pure shock. During that distraction, a guy's shoulder is brutally slashed open by a bone spike. He screams in pure agony and frantically rolls away to safety. The spider smirks, fully planning to slaughter every single person here. Its trap was perfect, but suddenly, its neck turns freezing cold. The monster's upper body abruptly loses all feeling. The spider slowly looks down. It spots a short dagger literally dancing in midair. It never even realized when that blade perfectly severed its massive neck in two. Head and body crash heavily to the ground together. The bizarre dagger, having completely decapitated the monster, flies backward straight into his hand. Telekinesis. The black-haired woman gasps in pure disbelief, staring right at him. Meanwhile, the giant spider's corpse melts into a nasty pool of blood. A strange, soft black sphere suddenly appears on the ground. As everyone stares at it, a system prompt pops up. Spider silk orb, unranked mystic item. Sprays inescapable web. It dropped rare loot. Lena and the black-haired woman's eyes instantly flood with intense greed and hype. They know exactly the value of an item like this. The rest, while clueless about mystic gear, could easily guess it is incredibly rare and want it too. However, our guy calmly steps up and snatches the mystic item right out from under their greedy eyes. This will play a crucial role in passing this trial, he mutters. This coldly calculated sentence totally silences anyone about to object, no matter how much they hate it. They have to let it slide. After all, he's the only one who could actually get them through this nightmare. He glances at the orb, shoving it away, not checking it further to avoid sparking more useless jealousy. Compared to that mystic item, you and I both know the real prize is that dagger he got from Blacksmith Lee. Watching them struggle earlier, he suddenly remembered he had recently awakened telekinesis and wondered if he could use it to join the brawl. By using telekinesis, he wouldn't risk taking damage, so he tested it out, commanding the little blade from Blacksmith Lee. He never expected it to be so crazy nimble under his mental control. The dagger rips through the air with a hum, aggressively spinning at a speed literally invisible to normal eyes. Acting on pure impulse, he commanded the blade to fly at the spider. He totally didn't expect it to instantly decapitate the beast so effortlessly. Listen, telekinesis is his new ultimate weapon. Inside, he is absolutely ecstatic, but Lena suddenly interrupts his thoughts. We lost a person just dealing with one spider monster. There are way too many villagers in this place. How are we supposed to take them all out? There are only 6 of us left, and one has a broken leg. Seeing their panic, let's watch what our guy does. He was prepared. He gave them a solid dose of reassurance. At first, he wasn't too confident, but after killing that massive spider, he could guarantee with 100% certainty they'd pass this trial. But that was it for today. Time was running out. The villagers would wake up in 2 or 3 hours. He promised they'd finish the trial and leave tomorrow. The catch, everyone, including our MC himself, absolutely had to survive the night. They had to meet today's strict lodging conditions. Whatever they did, they could not die tonight. Hearing that cold truth, no matter how terrified they were, they had to endure one more night. Suddenly, the incredibly stunning woman spoke up. Maybe I'm out of line, but that's exactly why we need to discuss the plan. If something happens to you, what do we do? You don't need to worry about that. I will definitely survive tonight, he said, giving zero further explanation. The method to pass this trial was his ultimate trump card, revealing it meant losing total control over everyone. Why would he tell them now, not giving them a single chance to ask questions or voice doubts? He just turned and walked away. The exact moment he was out of sight, his confident facade totally crumbled. In reality, he had 0% certainty whether it was surviving the night or passing the trial. That whole decisive look was just a brilliant act to make everyone obediently cooperate, with more people actually helping. The odds of passing actually went up. Such a shame almost everyone was dead. He thought back to when they first entered this mystic world. After muttering some strange words, 2 weirdos had walked off. So you and I watch him search the whole village, finally in some dark corner, right in front of an ancient house with blood-red lanterns. He found them. It was that couple with blue patterns on their skin. Seeing them, he got straight to the point. You two must be pretty strong fighters, right? Right then, both of them had these nasty, bleeding, unhealed wounds. Clearly, yesterday's brutal lodging conditions had taken a really heavy toll on them both. I'll give you 3 sentences. If you only speak garbage, I'll kill you, the blue-patterned man said coldly. Our guy just smiled. Can you survive 7 days in this village? First sentence. I found the main source of the anomaly in this village. The blue-patterned man's face shifted immediately. Right before he could respond, he dropped the 3rd sentence. Just listen to me and tomorrow I can help you pass the trial. Hearing this, the blue-skinned woman sneered. You think you can pass this ranked trial in 2 days? Just you? He just smiled and said absolutely nothing. The blue-skinned man spoke coldly. You come here spouting pure nonsense. You think I won't kill you? Is there any reason for me to spout nonsense? He countered smoothly. Seeing how crazy confident he was, the blue-skinned man and woman finally got dead serious. They exchanged a heavy look. The guy dropped some of his icy attitude, frowning as he asked, all right then. Tell us, what is the source of the anomaly in this village? We watch him repeat what he had already told the others. You're saying the villagers themselves are the source? The blue-skinned man's face shifted slightly. He thought for a fast moment. The probability is extremely high. What do we need to do? He asked. Impatiently, he spoke slowly. Wait for me right here tomorrow morning and follow every single one of my orders. The blue-skinned man sneered. Then, suddenly, like a wild beast, the guy lunges, wrapping his hands tight around our MC's throat. Instant suffocation. The MC's face flushes bright red. Tell us everything you know, the attacker laughs coldly, or I'll kill you right now. Yeah, as expected, these two aren't exactly the type you can reason with. Our guy barely manages to choke out a single sentence. Listen to me and pass the trial, or we all die together. Absolutely. No one is surviving these 7 days. He wheezes, voice completely shot. The blue-skinned guy tightens his grip. Our MC sneers, refusing to speak. Murderous. Intent flashes in the attacker's eyes, but wait, suddenly it vanishes, completely replaced. By sharp pain transferring right from the MC's body to his, he lets go, staring. If we don't pass the trial tomorrow, I'll kill you, the MC coughs hard to clear. His head, if we don't pass tomorrow, we're basically dead anyway. Well, it seems. They have an agreement, and with 2 more heavy hitters, their odds of survival just went up. Mission accomplished. He leaves immediately. The way those 2 looked at him, super uncomfortable. It's honestly like in there eyes, humans aren't even the same species. He can't help but wonder, are they actually aliens? There are rumors online about exploration teams deep in the mystic continent running into non-human beings, but those wild reports have never been officially verified. If those guys were actually willing to talk, our MC would've loved to interrogate them. Like, what does this rank trial they mentioned even mean? Do these trials have difficulty tiers? Did they get dumped into a ridiculously hard one? Too bad they aren't talking. Finding a quiet corner, you and I watch him pull out that spider silk orb for a quick test. Turns out this spider silk has literally unlimited uses. 0 damage though. Its one and only trait is being totally indestructible. After testing it out, he grabs a quick nap. He needs to save his energy for tonight's madness. Waking up and heading back to the village, the 5 other surviving players are already waiting at the meetup spot. The sun is totally down now. Villagers open their doors one by one. Seeing the group waiting, they creepily size them up, but seeing only 6 players left, they actually look super surprised and pretty disappointed. Right then, the creepy old village chief speaks up, voice way too gentle. Time to find your lodging, you still must fulfill the conditions, just like yesterday. The survivors nervously exchange glances for tonight's safe house conditions. After hashing it out and sharing intel, most of the group has a solid plan and locked their choices early. For the MC, his choice is still the creepy old man. That ledger showed a whole lot of people owing him favors. Sticking to a spot with lower known risks is way better than facing some terrifying unknown. He makes the very first move. His main target is the old woman. Yeah, the same one Lena did a task for yesterday. She apparently borrowed a bamboo hat from the creepy old man without ever returning it. Now, after locking in his target, our guy checks the others' choices and is absolutely stunned. That incredibly gorgeous woman isn't around, guessing she went off to find the drunkard again. And get this, the only other surviving guy chose the widow and her creepy son, literally the second most dangerous threat after the village chief. The crippled woman picks the farmer raising chickens and ducks. Lena actually chooses the heavyset woman who loves eating meat, and the black-haired girl, she chooses the village chief. Seriously, does this girl have a massive death wish? The thought instantly hits. Flooded his mind. He was dying to warn her, but she had already made her choice, stepping in to make her second guess herself. That wasn't his job. All he could do now was pray they survived the night, calming his nerves. He got up and headed straight for the old crone's house. 0 time to waste. Seeing him approach, the hag opened her mouth, but he completely shut her down. Lady, I'm picking up the bamboo hat for someone else. The old woman just stared, totally lost. What hat? He quickly shoved the ledger in her face. Waiting for the gears to turn, finally it clicked. Oh, right. It's inside a chest in the house. Go grab it yourself. But listen, there are multiple boxes in there. Pick the wrong one and whatever happens to you, not my problem. With that warning, she flashed a sickening, ear-to-ear grin. Seriously. Her squinting little eyes and that horrific, sunken face made her look exactly like a starving demon. Just as expected, these freaks were constantly gunning for them. He let out a scoff, feeling a tiny bit of relief, and casually strolled right into the dark house. Tucked away in the corners of the main room sat 4 identical red chests. As his eyes locked onto the first few, absolute heart-stopping terror washed over him. The second box still radiated heavy danger vibes. The third one pure nightmare fuel, but that fourth and final chest, honestly, Nothing, zero threat. It had to be this one. No wonder his intuition stayed completely silent. Turns out his danger sense was the ultimate loot radar. He reached to pop the red chest open. Meanwhile, out in some creepy rural courtyard, a whole flock of poultry rocking actual human teeth started screaming like maniacs. These mutated birds were going absolutely wild, tearing into chunks of raw meat on the dirt. That crippled woman, gone without a single trace. Back at the grocery store, the dark-haired girl stepped right up to the zombie-faced shopkeeper. Need lamp oil for the village chief, she demanded flatly. The undead-looking guy just let out a filthy chuckle. You bring the goods. Cut to the heavyset woman's place. Lena, looking pale and gasping for air, stood frozen. The giant woman was dragging a rusty meat cleaver across a whetstone, constantly wiping away the nasty drool dripping down her chin. I'll chop real nice and easy. No pain, don't be scared, the massive lady whispered, practically shaking with thrill. Back to our MC, he was officially the first to clear the lodging quest, striding out of that house rocking the bamboo hat. An old Taoist priest chilling by the door completely froze up. Instantly, the old man's face twisted into pure, bone-chilling rage. The pressure was suffocating. How did you get that? Beginner's luck, honestly, just popped a box. Our guy replied smoothly, tapping the hat. The old priest just glared daggers at him, completely speechless, so he pushed his luck. Sir, am I cleared to leave? The elder's face darkened. Fine, you and I could easily spot the old guy's boiling frustration. It was a shame. That system rules tied his hands completely, the second he was out of the priest's sightline. Our MC started panting, wiping cold sweat off his brow. Talk about insane guts stealing right under their noses, digging into his pocket. A weird glass vial looking like a dried-up syringe appeared. Originally, the plan was to bail the second he scored the hat, but this bizarre artifact was sitting in the same chest. Pure curiosity made him snatch it. Right on cue, a screen popped up. Vial containing some unknown fluid, highly valuable stuff. There are expert appraisers over in Illusion City to figure it out. Now, you and I might not know what Illusion City even was. The tag said highly valuable. He absolutely had to take it. Arriving back at the creepy old man's place, the owner stared at the bamboo hat in his hand, completely shocked. You got it again. He took the hat, glaring with pure hostility. Then a cold, bitter laugh escaped him. You are getting dangerously closer to certain death. Our guy stayed quiet. This was his final night here. He had zero plans to survive a full 7 days anyway. Stepping inside, he decided to rest up. Even though exhaustion hit him hard, he forced his eyes open, waiting for dawn. Besides, there was something huge he needed to confirm tonight. Time passed quickly, and soon the dead of night hit. The village was dead silent, just the eerie wind howling. Yet he could feel it. The dirt paths outside were completely swarming with horrific monsters rocking glowing red eyes. They were lurking, waiting for the six of them to fall asleep. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind blasted through the house. The flickering oil lamp got completely snuffed out. In a flash, the entire room plunged into pitch-black darkness and dead silence. He frowned, letting out a chuckle. Coldly, right on cue, and just like that, a massive wave of pure exhaustion slammed into his mind. Taking a sharp breath to stay awake, he quickly pulled out 2 tiny wooden sticks he had charred into charcoal earlier that afternoon. Using his telekinesis, Blacksmith Gel's tiny dagger spun like crazy against a hard rock on the floor. Sparks flew, catching the dry tinder placed over the charcoal. Almost instantly, a bright flame erupted. Instantly, that pitch-dark room was totally lit up by the firelight. He spotted the old creep standing with his back turned, doing God only knows what. The guy abruptly snapped his head around, saw the torch, and his face twisted in pure panic. He screamed, "When did you bring fire in here?" He just feigned ignorance. Is there a problem? Put it out. If I put it out, I'll get sleepy. Plus, no rules were broken, right? He merely lit a fire. The old man's face went completely dark. Digging into a corner cabinet, he yanked out a fire starter to get the oil lamp going again. The room flooded with light. Watching this happen, he immediately blew out his little torch. The old man's hideous, stressed expression instantly softened. Up just as the guy glared back at him coldly, about to speak, our hero spoke first. Sir, this lamp oil, it is literal corpse oil, right? The old man sneered. So what if it is? He smiled. Nothing, just asking. The old guy gave him a super bizarre, gloomy stare, ultimately deciding to keep his mouth shut. Our MC walked straight to the window, staring into the foggy night, but honestly it was way too dark out. But get this, his final theory on this nightmare was 100% confirmed. That ridiculously long, agonizing night finally came to an end. Scraping together whatever strength he had left, he took a deep breath and stepped out. The creepy cabin, the early morning light hitting the village, was still cold and absolutely gross, but unlike yesterday, the dirt streets were totally clear of blood and dead bodies. Looks like the death toll was super low last night. Everyone had actually survived the crazy lodging rules. Just seconds after he walked outside, that woman with the long black hair stepped right out of the chief's place. The one-eyed guy slowly exited a shack. Lena, her face looking pale as a ghost, trembled violently as she staggered right out of that large woman's house. A second later, that stunningly beautiful woman appeared, looking completely drained of color, and joined the group. Let's see how this plays out. They waited, but there was zero sign of the girl with the broken leg. She was likely dead, our MC sighed. Scanning the survivors, to make it through last night, they paid an astronomical price. Can we start now? The gorgeous woman pleaded, her voice totally cracking. I refuse to stay in this cursed village for another second. I won't last until the afternoon. Lena begged him to, her pale body shaking so hard like she might collapse at any given moment. Her legs were still bleeding heavily, but strangely enough, one guy didn't say a single word. Then our MC noticed, besides losing an eye, his tongue was completely gone too. The only person, aside from our lead, who looked totally unharmed was the black-haired woman who had previously gone to find the village chief. He gave her a hard look. This girl was definitely hiding something. He glanced at the battered group and spoke. Before we head to the grocery store, I need to ask everyone a quick question. What is it? Just ask, they muttered. Right now, everybody was being incredibly cooperative, just to survive the previous night alone. They had literally sacrificed everything. Take Lena, for example, missing one hand. If she had ended up in a dangerous room condition, she absolutely would have died. So, yesterday she went with the obese woman. Even though she had to sacrifice a literal chunk of her own flesh, she survived, but that price, way too steep. These guys had basically zero chance of surviving until tomorrow. Therefore, no matter what he told them, they had no choice but to obey. Seeing their absolute desperation, he asked, "Did anyone use fire last night?" The group just looked at each other in total confusion. The woman with black hair finally spoke. "After the light went out, I felt insanely sleepy, so I followed your advice and lit a torch. Then, the village chief relit the oil lamp and forced me to put my fire out." Exactly as he predicted, he smiled. "They are terrified of fire. I tested it myself last night, based on the old man's reaction and her story. I'm certain these monsters are entirely afraid of fire." Now he was feeling way more confident about surviving this trial. "We're going to the grocery store. I'm betting there's a ton of lamp oil inside. What we need to do is grab that oil, drench every single house one by one, and then together we set this whole cursed village on fire, burn those monsters to ash. Then this trial will finally be over." He flashed a confident smile, delivering his brilliant analysis. "But you and I know the truth, right?" In reality, he knew perfectly well that a death game trial wouldn't end quite that easily, and so all 5 survivors headed straight for the grocery store. Along the way, that weird blue pattern couple who had been lurking by the road joined them. After merging with the groups, the couple ignored everyone trying to strike up a conversation, just shooting our MC an icy glare before silently falling right to the back of the pack. Soon, the entire group finally arrived at the grocery store. He stood before the massive building, thinking hard. For a second before dropping the bad news, based on my deduction, breaking into a normal villager's house to steal without their permission is almost certainly going to violate a death rule, even if they sleep during the day. I can't guarantee we'll be safe. This harsh statement was exactly like throwing a bucket of freezing ice water on the hyped group. Everyone was suddenly trapped in a terrible dilemma. This grocery store, easily one of the most dangerous places in the mines, everyone who went in there to fulfill that lodging condition, except for the black-haired girl, had been totally wiped out, covered in brutal injuries and unable to fight at full strength. Nobody wanted to risk their lives. I'll go, your mental state is perfectly fine, come with me. In the dead silence, the black-haired girl finally spoke up. She didn't point at our MC, but at the man missing an eye and his tongue. The poor guy's face shifted through pure panic as his terrified gaze darted between our hero and that blue-patterned couple. Seeing that none of them were making a move, he realized he was totally screwed. Finally, he just gritted his teeth and nodded. Before they entered, our MC sternly warned them, once you get that oil, come straight back, don't do anything stupid. And with that, the two of them stepped inside the store. The group stood by the door waiting anxiously. This step was the absolute most crucial. They needed that lamp oil. Failure, completely off the table. Time ticked by second by agonizing second. 5 minutes later, the door creaked open. Everyone held their breath, staring hard. The two people walking out were indeed the black-haired girl and the one-eyed man. They were each carrying a massive jug of oil. The shop owner was dead asleep. It went smoothly, the black-haired girl reported. The guy next to her wiped cold sweat right off his forehead, setting the jug down and sighing hard, like a guy who just narrowly escaped the Grim Reaper. Our MC sighed in relief too, just about to explain the next phase of his plan. But guys, brace yourselves. The man who had literally just been smiling, he completely froze. A second later, he grabbed his throat, letting out a horrific sound of pure despair. He convulsed violently, viciously suffocating. Moment later, the black-haired girl suffered the exact same fate, her face turning deep crimson as she agonizingly clutched her own throat. Oh no, she gasped hoarsely. Immediately after, a truly horrifying scene unfolded, starting right from the tops of their heads. Both of them began melting like burning candles, right before everyone's eyes. Hair, clothes, flesh, and skin dissolving rapidly at a speed completely visible to the naked eye. In one awful instant, only 2 puddles of foul black blood remained where they stood, while everyone was still totally reeling in pure shock. Another insane anomaly occurred, right in the black-haired girl's bloody puddle. Blood-red cloth doll appeared out of nowhere. It glowed bright red and rapidly expanded, transforming the very next second into a perfect replica of the black-haired girl. She was standing a few meters away, completely unharmed. At this moment, the girl looked absolutely terrified, just staring at that blood puddle, her eyes showing pure agony. That was my special item, the scapegoat doll, and now it's gone. I actually felt like fire was burning inside me. Everyone just stared at each other in sheer horror. Our MC stated coldly, "It seems this is punishment for breaking the rules." This dark conclusion made the already panicked survivor group turn pale with fear of dying like those melted monsters. This hypothesis of breaking the rules was easily the most likely explanation. Looking at their terrified faces, he spoke slowly. If the penalty for breaking these rules wasn't this terrifying, those monsters would have eaten us a long time ago. At this point, the blue pattern guy totally interrupted his explanation. No need for extra words. Now that we have the stuff, what's our next step? To this guy, whether it was some underground entity or the village's creepy rules, he just didn't care. His only real priority was trial finished. Our guy sighed softly and told them, the next step is simple. We need to drench every house in this village with oil. Once it's all poured out, quickly set the street on fire. These creepy houses are basically giant matchboxes. They're built entirely out of straw and wood, highly flammable stuff. Just a single spark and the fire will spread like crazy soon as you finish your assigned tasks. Fall back here immediately to regroup. The remaining 5 just nodded with serious faces. The couple with the blue patterns teamed up. Our MC paired off with Lena, while the black-haired girl stuck with that incredibly gorgeous woman. Then the operation officially began. Lena was wounded, but she kept moving just fine. This made our MC realize her whole pale act and claims of dying by afternoon were totally faked, but right when she tried scaling a roof, the real injury finally showed. Down the front of her right thigh, all the way from hip to knee, the flesh was just gone. Fresh blood slowly dripped down from her upper leg, falling right onto bare white bone that had been picked totally clean. His face instantly went dark. He couldn't imagine what kind of crazy willpower Lena needed to face that massive woman. Half an hour of frantic rushing later, he and Lena successfully covered a dozen houses in oil. He just muttered, hoping this whole fire plan would actually solve everything. They split up right after that, and man, not long after, twin fires started sweeping through the entire village. Our guy and Lena were the first ones back to the meetup point. From there, they could easily see the other 2 streets were burning like crazy. Everything was going perfectly by the book. Minutes later, the whole team regrouped. This freezing dead village suddenly woke up, with flames roaring, insane heat spread everywhere. Heavy smoke finally choked out that absolute awful stench of rotting bodies. It honestly felt like a total purification. The 6 of them just didn't dare speak. You and I would have been terrified too. Look at your face. Are you worried the fire won't finish the job? Lena suddenly asked him. Hearing that, everyone stared right at our MC. He stayed completely quiet before finally answering, "If I'm not wrong, somebody else is going to die." The exact second he said that, crazy noises exploded from the massive inferno. Huge waves of agonizing, horrific screams ripped through the night. It seemed the fire finally breached the houses, waking up the twisted villagers inside. Now they were terrified, thrashing in pure agony inside that burning sea. The sheer volume of their shrieks multiplied fast. What started off sounding kind of human quickly warped into straight-up demonic, monstrous shrieking. The hollow, sinister, ear-shattering tone of those voices violently echoed through the dead village. Over the roar of the raging flames, it literally felt like they had dropped straight into the 18th level of hell. But hey, this was all part of his plan. As the wildfire kept burning hard, those spine-chilling sounds peaked, then slowly began dropping off in numbers. The monsters were actually dying. Now the absolutely gorgeous woman and Lena looked totally thrilled. Both of them were pushing extremely weak bodies, completely drained physically and mentally. The dark-haired woman kept quiet, staring into the massive flames like she was calculating something. On the other side, the blue-tattooed couple just exchanged looks. Isn't S-rank trial really this easy to pass? What kind of rewards will we get? Well, in the entire group, only our main character stayed perfectly calm and completely silent. His sharp eyes were locked onto the thick plumes of black fog rising straight from the burning, collapsing houses. He actually noticed it the very moment the screaming finally started dying down. It looked exactly like the dark fog was being ripped from the corpses of those monstrous dead villagers. And get this, the fog wasn't fading away. It was slowly merging, twisting together with all the other dark streams of black fog. An absolute sense of deadly crisis and deep unease flashed through his mind. Now you and I know nobody here was blind. Once that dark fog expanded to a massive size, the others, who completely forgot to stay on guard because the trial felt so incredibly easy, finally noticed the horrific situation. Guys, we are so doomed. What is that? Do you guys think I am a god? He sneered coldly. All I know is burning those freaky monster villagers gave us the best possible advantage here. Whatever happens next is completely up to fate. As he spoke, a sudden flash of bright white light erupted from his pocket, hovering right beside him. Pure Telekinesis, a weird, suspicious look, flashed right through the blue tattooed man's eyes. Then he dropped right into a highly vigilant combat stance. Meanwhile, the black fog kept building up bit by terrifying bit when no more shadow poured from the village. That massive cloud of dark mist finally stopped growing. They waited a few more tense minutes, then the black fog, which looked totally solid, suddenly started to rapidly expand all over again. The insane speed was absolutely terrifying. In just one blink, the deadly fog completely swallowed the sky and the whole village, just as it was about to consume absolutely everything. The colossal mass of black shadow violently exploded with a totally deafening boom. He felt dizzy, his vision completely swimming and ears ringing. The very next second, he could not see a single thing. This insane scenario made him frantically rub his eyes. No, he was not blind. He was inside the fog, so pitch black. He could not see anything. He steadied himself, muttering under his breath, "Can anyone out there hear me?" He shouted forward. "I hear you, barely. I cannot see anything." "I heard you too. We are trapped in a fog, totally blind." Lena and the others responded. One by one, their scared voices did not sound too far away. Their positions probably had not moved much. "Turn your backs to each other. Use my voice as the center. Point slowly, move toward me, and do not get separated," he yelled anxiously. They all hurriedly agreed. Faced with this sudden terrifying crisis, nobody could stay calm. His spot-on previous analysis of the trial made everyone desperate to follow his lead. But then, just as they were preparing to move, a terrified scream ripped right through the heavy air. "What is this? Save me." It was the voice of the gorgeous woman. Her scream abruptly cut off, and then, from within the dead silence of that thick black fog, a sickeningly clear and bizarre sound echoed out. It sounded exactly like something was chewing. He could vividly picture the horrific scene. Some unnamed nightmare creature had snatched the beautiful woman right in its jaws and was literally gnawing on her. In that dead darkness, the wet crunching sound was piercing and completely horrifying. An inescapable, suffocating pressure washed over everyone there. Right at that exact moment, a cold, robotic voice they had not heard in a while suddenly chimed in. "Attention, attention. The apprentices have completely destroyed the trial world using special methods, thereby successfully completing the trial. However, listen up, these villagers were actually born from completely anomalous soul entities, meaning destroying their physical bodies doesn't even leave a scratch on their souls. Now these twisted spirits hold pure, absolute hatred for the apprentices who ruined their bodies, so they just fused together into one insanely powerful monster. The only way to end this nightmare is if every apprentice gets slaughtered. Right now, the trial's danger level completely exceeds their limits. The system will adjust the difficulty in exactly 1 minute. Once that minute is up, every surviving apprentice gets pulled from this nightmare world. Just survive for 60 seconds. That system warning from the mystic world finally cleared up the sheer confusion. But after that, pure, unfiltered panic, way beyond their limits. The regular villagers hadn't pushed them this far, so just how absurdly strong was this new monster? 60 seconds doesn't sound too bad, right? But with this kind of warning, someone was definitely about to drop dead. Who was gonna be the next victim? Our guy's heart sank too, even though he totally felt a twist coming at the end of this trial from day one. He never expected anything to be this completely, hopelessly unstoppable. How could he possibly dodge this horrifying monster for a whole minute? While he was thinking, a sudden, chilling premonition of death just hit him hard. "Oh no," he screamed out in pure terror. "Scatter, get as far as you can, do not stand together." The very second those words left his mouth, our guy sprinted off as fast as humanly possible, but his physical stats were honestly pretty garbage. He barely took a single step before a massive force just slammed into him. His leg went totally dead. An ice-cold panic shot right through his veins. The impact launched him flying dozens of meters into the air. He rolled wildly across the dirt before finally Coming to a halt, when he finally blinked, a bone-crushing wave of agony hit him, nearly making him black out right there. A split second later, he let out a blood-curdling scream. It hurts so badly, my right leg is gone. It was completely bitten off. His pathetic cries echoed into the dark before suddenly cutting off. He actually forced himself to use pure logic, crushing his panic and enduring the brutal pain, because that sick premonition of danger, still flashing, gripping the bloody stump of his missing leg, he broke into a freezing sweat, looking wildly around the area. But honestly, besides that escalating feeling of absolute doom, he couldn't spot a single trace of that monster. In the pitch-black fog, he could only feel one thing: he was its prey. What should he do? Was there any possible way to survive this? His brain raced, desperately fighting to keep absolute composure. Relying on weapons was completely out of the question now. The gear he had was just blasted away, and his intuition, besides screaming warning signs, was useless in actual combat. Right, I still have the spider silk orb. He frantically yanked it out and fired that thing in literally every direction. Thick streams of silk shot out blindly. Front is clear, right is clear. Then he saw several bright webs shoot hard to the left and hang totally suspended in the dark. Obviously, they had snagged something big. The thing writhing around out there was the monster. Seeing its shadowy outline finally revealed, he sighed in temporary relief, but his hands didn't dare stop moving. He just kept firing massive amounts of thick webbing, desperately trying to lock it down to buy himself those precious few seconds. But he was being way too optimistic. Spider webs might actually be effective against normal creatures, but this was a horrifying monster fueled by a grotesque fusion of an entire village. All that silk binding it did absolutely zero to slow it down. The massive creature just reached out, ripping the webs apart. Tangled chunks hit the ground. Worse, this nightmare seemed fully aware time was running out. It stopped caring about the incoming threads, letting sticky webs coat its massive body. Its dark silhouette kept creeping closer, straight toward our main character. The shadow of death was heavy, and he was completely powerless here. Game over. His face screamed pure despair. He had worked so hard planning every single detail, only to end up being the bait for someone else's survival. Fall back, just as he fully accepted his death. A wild twist hit. Boom! A blinding blast of fierce fire suddenly erupted in the dark. Before he could blink, a blazing streak shot straight at him, slamming perfectly into the webs right in front of his face. Some bizarre object coated in roaring flames, with a massive fiery whoosh. It completely incinerated the webs, rapidly engulfing the horrible monstrosity that was reaching out from the shadows. That brilliant firelight lit up the entire dead night sky. We finally see the monster clearly, an absolutely twisted, faceless horror. Pure black and covered in bleeding tumors, shaped exactly like human heads, plus 3 giant jaws packed with jagged fangs. It looked sickening, distorted, and utterly terrifying. Scorched by the blaze, the beast finally stopped, unleashing sheer agonized roars while desperately clawing the flames off its flesh. He looked into the distance. The guy with the blue patterns. Consider my debt completely paid up, he said coldly, immediately turning away to retreat. Our guy was saved. He just sat there entirely stunned. Snapping back, he quickly dragged himself into a ruined house, using the leftover silk to pull himself inside. The fire faded. Seconds later, the screaming stars above also fell completely silent. The terrifying space went right back to a dead quiet. He huddled deep in the corner, holding his breath, hyper-vigilant of every single sound, sure that immediate deadly danger was temporarily gone, but the countdown was still ticking. He knew if that thing found him again, it meant 100% certain death. He doubted another fireball was coming to his rescue. All he could do, pray. Pray the monster picked a new target, over his own frantic, hammering heartbeat. And the burning pain in his leg, anxious thoughts swirled wildly. Survival time dragged slower than ever. How could one single minute feel this incredibly, excruciatingly long just end already? During that agonizing wait, a sickening chewing sound echoed again, too familiar. Someone else just got devoured, but who was it? The blue-patterned guy, Lena, that black-haired woman, someone else, his mind spiraled with pure panic. Suddenly, that deadly chill returned. He looked right up. Completely horrified, three giant mouths lined with pale, jagged teeth instantly materialized. Right in front of his face, they lunged straight for him, a horrific stench of absolute decay hitting his lungs. He squeezed his eyes tightly shut, bracing for his skull to snap, but the pain never hit. Instead, a crisp mechanical chime echoed through the void. Ding, 1 minute has officially elapsed, extracting all surviving apprentices immediately. Those massive jaws clamped down on thin air as his body instantly dissolved into a blinding pillar of pure white light. The black fog, the demonic shrieks, and that bone-deep agony of his severed leg. Gone, just gone. He didn't just wake up on his sofa. Instead, he found himself floating in a silent, starry void. A massive glowing system screen materialized right before him. Text started scrolling. Rank trial for the Anomaly Village was finished. Overall evaluation, S calculating survivor status. Our guy barely breathed, eyes totally glued to the glowing screen. He desperately needed to know who survived that absolute nightmare. Total initial players across the groups, 36. Total survivors, 4. His heart absolutely skipped a beat. Out of everyone, just 4 of them made it through that final agonizing minute. Names flickered up. Apprentice 19679. That was him. Next up, Apprentice Lena. She actually survived despite missing a hand and having a completely mangled leg. Her sheer willpower and survival instincts were truly terrifying. Then Apprentice Yifan, the tattooed guy. He lived, but his female companion was nowhere to be seen. That disgusting chewing sound he heard back in the pitch black, that was definitely her, Apprentice Su Mukshay. The black-haired girl, this quiet, sharp player who boldly teamed up with the crazy village chief. She was clearly hiding some heavy secrets and overpowered gear. He let out a heavy sigh. The guy missing an eye and a tongue didn't make it. Neither did that incredibly gorgeous woman. This mystic world was truly just a ruthless meat grinder. Rewards distributing now. Sixth sense talent permanently awakened in the real world. Physical evolution initiated. Complete immunity to the purple fog secured. Bonus S reward. Telekinesis. And a spider silk orb permanently bound to his soul. Before he could even process the massive haul of rewards, the starry void shattered like glass. You see that? He gasped, eyes snapping wide open. Our boy was lying right back on his plush living room sofa. Sleek black mystic world helmet still rested heavy on his head. He instantly ripped it off, his chest violently heaving as he gasped in huge lungfuls of clean, sweet-smelling air. He frantically grabbed his right leg. It was actually there, perfectly intact, warm and totally whole again. That phantom pain lingered for a split second before fading completely, replaced by an explosive, surging strength rushing through his veins, the system's physical evolution doing its work. He felt lighter, faster, and infinitely more powerful than the average 21st century Otaku he used to be. Brother, you are awake, a sweet, panicked voice suddenly called out. Li Wan Qing rushed in from the kitchen, her gorgeous face filled with genuine concern and sheer adoration. She knelt by the sofa, carefully keeping her distance just so she would not break those strict harassment laws, her eyes welling with tears. You were sweating a ton. Did everything go okay? I made a massive feast for you. He looked at her perfect features, then glanced out the window at the vibrant, peaceful city below, a world packed with billions of stunning women who would gladly pay absolute fortunes just to catch a single glimpse of him. A slow, genuine smile spread across his face. He reached out and gently grabbed Li Wanqing's soft hand, pulling her straight up, totally ignoring the rules just because he could. It was an absolute nightmare, he said softly, relaxing deep into the comfortable cushions. But it was completely worth it. He thought of Lena, the black-haired girl, and that tough, blue pattern guy. We are definitely going to see them cross paths again soon. but 4. Now let those horrifying, faceless monsters rot forever down in their cursed. A literal virtual hellscape, our guy beat their game, completely outsmarting death. And bagging the ultimate prize, the bloody trial of Anomaly Village was finally over, but get this, his new reality of absolute supremacy, limitless power, and insane luxury in this gorgeous new world was just getting started.